Hello everybody and welcome back now to round 4 here at the Stuttgart Regional Championships, which after the last round having quite an interesting matchup but maybe a little bit standard but with a twist, this matchup is something a little bit different.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna see a player who's been known to not necessarily play what's the most well-known meta right now, but Martin Janusz from the Czech Republic. He's going to be playing Mismagius today. I just remind myself, it took a few seconds, I just realised, what's this card do? And then I realised, oh wait, I know exactly what this card does. Yep. This is the card with the attack Chaos Wheel for 1 psychic energy, which is, you know, just a bit like Giratina, isn't it?
Well, so is that he's playing the Crimson Invasion one.
Yeah.
And against Philipp, who is playing Lucario GX. Basically, I'm a good friend of his. He's been really high on this deck because Lucario very strong in the standard format already because of the Zoroarks, but here you gain access to both Focus Sash and Karina, which just means you hit your combos so consistently and have such good outs.
Yeah, absolutely. The plethora of tools that fighting types have in the expanded format is so much crazier even compared to standard. Standard's decent enough. You know, you've got strong energy, which is already a huge boon to any fighting type Pokemon. But here you have Fighting Stadium, you have Focus Sash, you have Karina, and you might not necessarily play. I don't believe he's actually playing Fighting Stadium, but just is another option, and it's just an absurd amount of choice.
Yeah, so actually he prefers, in this case, it's one of the few decks that has 2 very good stadiums to choose from. You have both the Fighting Stadium for the extra 20 damage, but also he chooses Brooklet Hill because obviously with Lucario GX you want to be evolving basically every turn, so having as many Riolu as he can throw down, he will.
Yeah, of course.
And maybe the awkward thing here is that Mismagius does hit for weakness, but the special energy lock isn't so much of a problem against the Lucario decks because he one-shots if he evolves.
That's the thing, because I mean, it does mean that he has less out to energy. That's the one thing. So, you know, although the energy itself doesn't matter if it is a strong or not, the fact that in terms of the extra damage, the fact that it is an extra energy to attach means that, say, if he draws only a strong and not a fighting, you can't attack at all. So there is that. And also not having access to Brooklet Hill, depending on how early it is, that could hamper his consistency a little bit. And with tools especially, as we mentioned, Focus Sash, really big part of this deck. But having said that, if he's doing Chaos Wheel, then he's not getting one hit knockout anyway, so arguably it doesn't matter.
Yep. So it basically means that Martin has a choice now of choosing between chip damage on the Chaos Wheel, setting up, breaking the Sash, actually preventing the Sash from being played in the first place.
Yeah.
But also having the main attacker, I assume, for damage output in this deck is the Trash Launch Garbodor,
yes,
which we've seen dominate standard for a while, kind of fade out a little bit, and now making a resurgent here in the expanded format.
Yeah, the only way that really the tool bit of the Mismagius could come into play is maybe if he does a Chaos Wheel and then Guzma something up on the bench, which is completely fresh to get the KO there. But we are off, ladies and gentlemen. This is Game 1, Round 4 of the Stuttgart Regional Championships, and it looks like Mr. Lejewski will be going first.
Yes, so straight away he has his access to Brooklet Hill if he wants it, which he's very happy about. Means he can start establishing a board state. A very important part of this deck actually is because of how aggressive it is to prevent yourself from being end out of it entirely. And to do that, he has to try and find the artillery line as quickly as possible.
Yeah. So as Connor's mentioning earlier, Brooklet Hill, one of the 2 really great stadium choices that you have really for this deck, and expanded. The other being the Fighting Stadium, which does the 20 extra damage, but only 2 EXs, not GXs. It was of course printed before GXs were a thing. So that's kind of, I guess, one of the reason why you probably more favour the Brooklet Hill. But not only that, of course, it does give you that extra consistency with being able to just once your turn pick a fighting or a water Pokemon from your deck and put it straight on your bench.
Well, it's really nice, especially because with access to Karina, he can basically choose to Brooklet Hill over Bridget turn 1, which means he gets to also search his deck for another Pokemon and a crucial item, and that just gives him so many more options as opposed to being a deck where you go Bridget. Okay, you have a turn.
Yeah.
That's basically, and he just doesn't get. This deck does not give you those opportunities.
No, absolutely. It's one of these very fast sort of come speeding straight out of the gate sort of decks where the supporter you play turn 1, although it doesn't perhaps it still gets you as far, or at least far enough comparatively as a Bridget would do. But then at the same time, you've got the other stuff like the Brook Hill, so that you can like draw more cards and set up a lot more aggressively. I think is the best way to put it compared to a Bridget. A Bridget is a very solid but stable setup, whereas you know, with something like this, you're just burning through lots more cards. You're playing your stadiums and you're doing your supporters draws, and you can just do a lot more as well as your setup. You can then set up more on top.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a very interesting way of approaching the kind of format. It's basically going, look, Bridget might be one of the best supporters. I don't need it though. I got this.
It's very similar logic to why Buzzwole GX in Standard doesn't play with Rogue. It's just another deck, one of these decks that can get away with it because it has, by virtue of what else it has supporter-wise that can enable it to get away with it. So
we see an Ultra Ball straight away from Martin. I assume going for the second copy of Taco Lele. However, that is prized, and Martin's prizes are actually quite inconvenient for him in this game. He has one of the Mismagius prized. That's not too big of a deal right now, but 2 VS Seeker and the Lele, and one of the Bridget. He's really going to have to dig somehow.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. And we will now see that Martin does bench the Misdreavus, and Philip just has to turn around and think, what does this do exactly?
So, travelling yesterday with Philip was quite fun because he was telling me all about his deck. He was super excited, really high on this list. And he was like, right, I'm confident. I can handle basically anything a bit odd that comes up in Expanded. I guess we'll see how confident he is in this statement now. He gets hit for weakness, and he probably he had to read the card, so that tells you an awful lot about his knowledge of the deck.
Yeah, so this is definitely putting. See if Philip can put his cards where his mouth is, and you know, is this Lucario deck able to beat this very rogue Mismagius deck? Which, granted, I'm sure when Philip was making that statement, he probably wasn't thinking rogue. Oh yeah, Mismagius, that's a rogue deck that this kind of beats.
One of the nice things as well is he has access to, with the Buzzwole active already, is he's already got a strong energy in play, which means that he can now start running up numbers. He can start hitting chip damage on one of the on the Lele, or in this case, most likely one of the Misdreavus, and kind of put the 110 damage HP for the Mismagius back into range, makes evolving into Lucario far more simple.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some kind of debate going on whether to evolve or not. Was there an extra card drawn, perhaps?
Okay.
So, he just retreats and uses the Misdreavus' attack, which, from what I can see, confuses the Buzzwole or confuses the opponent's active. But, we have to look at the exact name of it. Don't know it off by heart. Unsurprisingly, perhaps.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those ones where having access to the card scans.
Yeah. There we go.
Thank you very much, David. Is very useful.
Yes.
60 HP on the Misdreavus is less than ideal in this scenario because
60 is a number Buzzwole likes a lot.
Yeah, it's a number that's like, I can do that. Sure, yeah. I'll happily do that.
Yeah, although is he playing? He's not playing Regirock.
No. So the reasoning behind it was, with the fact that you evolve and you have to evolve to hit a lot of the KOs, it's not necessarily always an option. So it's kind of an awkward thing, but
because the Regirock really only supports the one of Buzzwole. It's like a tech to support a tech.
Yeah,
it's kind of one tech level 2D, perhaps.
But then obviously the problem with Misdreavus, because I hadn't really read the card much, it is actually fighting resistant.
Oh.
So it doesn't even matter if the Regirock was in the deck.
Well, there you go.
However, Philip was probably very happy with the board state, being able to Ultra Ball, trying to get the Lucario down nice and aggressively.
And this will be the turn here where obviously he's on the evolution, so I think he would probably like to attack with the Lucario, because just then he would actually get the kill on the Misdreavus instead of just doing 30 after the strong energy.
Well, actually, an awkward situation here is if Martin opts to attack into a Lucario at any point in the game, Philip just declares his GX attack. Because it does 60 damage, he will be able to take 2 prize cards with a slightly damaged Lucario. Lucario is a card that, much like the Tauros GX when it first came out, people struggled to play around because you have to one-shot it, otherwise it just blows something up.
And one-shotting is going to be a very big problem for Martin's deck, because we know that his damage ceiling is not very high at all. They have to remember the Chaos Wheel attack only does 30 damage. It does only cost a single psychic energy, but 30, even hitting for weakness 60, that's not going to be a one-shot.
No, but I think something that's quite interesting on Martin's side is he hasn't shown any Garbodor parts yet.
No.
So he might be kind of hoping that Philip will commit a lot of resources early, just to kind of go, right, Trubbish, Garbodor, let's go, and just start taking prize cards that way.
Also interesting to see that actually Martin opts to play Muscle Band instead of Choice Band. I was thinking maybe against or against single prize attacker decks, I'd rather have the extra damage as well, because 60, the difference between 50 and 60 on EX or GX isn't that much, but the difference between 30 and 50 on a non-GX is.
Well, especially because it's already nice. It already KOs one of the most common like non-GX cards that we'll see already, which is the Execute. You can one-shot one of those and lock you the opponent out of special energy. So it's a really interesting thing.
Yeah.
And the big factor is some cards resist Psychic, and one of the most common cards that the other most common cards is Zorua.
Yeah, and so that would be a 6-shot on a Zorua compared to a 2-shot.
That doesn't sound like an awful lot of fun.
No, that's a very, very big difference between a 6 and a 2-shot.
So he just comes in and has to attack in, but he has now played the Trubbish down, which means Philip will be aware that if he takes too many prize cards too quickly, he can be end out of the game with the Garbotoxin. Or perhaps he's thinking, right, there's a Trubbish come down, maybe he's going to go aggressive with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just 100 damage onto the Lucario, and now Brooklet Hill finds him another Riolu, it looks like. Yeah.
So something else that's particularly good with this list at the moment is the combination you have with Acerola. So by having Focus Sash and Acerola, you're basically able to go, look, you can't one-shot me, but you have to one-shot me. Which basically puts your opponent in a position where it's like, well, I can't really do an awful lot here.
No, it's damned damned if I do, damned if I don't.
And it's a kind of a weird way of having to think about the matchup. Going, well, I don't want to attack, because then I lose some... my opponent takes 2 prize cards.
Yeah. Actually, something interesting which I completely forgot about this is Mismagius is that the second attack could actually get one-shots on a decent amount of Philipp's stuff, depending on how big he keeps his hand. So for a psychic in 2 colours, Dark Arts does 20 damage for each card in your opponent's hand. So if Philip has a hand size of 6 or 7, or even 5, depending on what's out, actually that's still enough to get a KO. And Martin does play 2 double colourless energy, so 2 attachments to power that up is not unreasonable. Something to bear in mind, definitely.
Well, so actually, looking again at Martin's list, he's also playing 2 copies of Flare Grunt and a couple of copies of Enhanced Hammer, clearly going mostly for that, look, if you're playing DCE, I'm going to knock it off and you'll never be able to attach again, it's over. And I think that would normally be a fairly solid tactic. The issue is, it's just one energy, and it's one basic energy, it's all that Philip needs to be able to just keep chaining attacks into your not particularly bulky Mismagius.
Yeah, it does put him in a very, very much an awkward spot. Now, as we see Martin looking through, he's got the psychic energy to attach to the bench Trubbish. He's not going to be interested in putting up a Garbodor just yet. We know that there's not enough items in Philip's physical power to make that meaningful in any sort of shape or form. Just going to be playing it N instead. And remind me, how much Lucario's HP? Is it 210?
It is very much like the Zoroark.
Yeah.
It's exactly 210.
Yeah, so it's going to be annoying for Martin here, because he's going to be, if he attacks, he's going to be 10 short of a KO. Like we were just saying, that
just says Acerola.
Yeah. Like, please, yes, I will heal off my Pokemon, which is only 10 HP from being knocked out, and completely undo 2 turns of your attacking.
Yeah, I think a big problem with that plan, though I think Philip did just top deck it if I saw his hand correctly, is he did prize 2 of his 3 Acerola. So if he's just top decked into one of them off that N, he's very lucky. And we'll be just going, right, cool, just take the knockout quite happily.
Outskilled.
Well, it just shows sometimes being end is not enough.
Yeah.
You need to follow it up with them having a bad deck.
Yeah.
Or like bad cards left in deck for them to draw into, which is not the case right now for Philip.
No. So
is Aura Strike, it's 30 plus 80 if it evolved, correct?
No, it's 30 plus 90.
Oh, 90, so,
yeah.
So it's actually not enough. It's not enough to one-shot with the resistance.
Ooh, okay.
So
actually the strong energy is very relevant.
Yeah.
Good.
So this is something that we kind of forgot about, is that without access to the strong energy, there's no way of one-shotting. I mean, it's not the end of the world with access to Buzzwole. You can just kind of go, well, I'll just take a 2-shot. I'll just put the damage on. You can retreat, it's fine.
Yeah. Oh, wait, that's not...
Have they caught that? I don't think they've caught that.
No, that's
that wouldn't be a knockout because
of the resistance to fighting. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
something big. Then you can ask.
Yeah. So we're just gonna call over just to make sure that we're not just being silly here, but I'm fairly sure we're not.
Oh, hang on. No, I think the judge has already caught it. No?
No. Hold on 1 second, guys. We're just gonna make sure about this. Because yeah, of course, the 30 plus 90 will be 120, and yeah, that won't be a knockout because the resistance 120 minus 20 is 100, and 100 is less than 110.
I tell you what, being a commentator, something I'm learning very quickly today is there's an awful lot of maths involved.
Yeah, that's what. They're disagreeing.
Apparently, it had damage. Was it hit by a buzzwall earlier? I think it might have been hit by a buzzwall earlier on, perhaps.
There were 10 damage.
Okay, there was already 10 damage.
Okay,
on there.
yeah,
Perfect.
that's fine.
I just wanted to double check because.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see against that because they're using a dark dice on a dark card, so it's like
yeah. We do have yellow dice we could switch out.
Yeah.
So a big problem in this matchup could be for Philip. He doesn't play any field blower. If I'm looking at his list, and I'm reading this correctly. Which means that
I'm reading the same list you are. Yeah.
As soon as a Garbotoxin comes into play with a floatstone, he can't abyssal hand. He's out.
Oh dear. So then now, as Philip goes through and just starts thinking about what's happening, there is yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what sort of line of play he actually ends up taking this turn because there's he's got the Ultra Ball there, but I don't really think because that Lucario wasn't evolved just now, was it? That was already there.
Yeah, that was already there.
Yeah, so with no energy on it, Aura Strike isn't going to be doing anything meaningful this turn, and he can't Ace a Roller because as far as I can see, there's no damage on it either.
No. Just Flare Granted.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's in a situation now where actually he might be worth going back into the Buzzwall here. Go into the Buzzwall, start putting up 30s on things like the Trubbish. The Garbotoxin and both the Treasure Launch both have fighting resistance.
They do.
So by putting the extra damage in now, it means that again we don't get into a situation where we think, oh, maybe you don't have the knockout.
Yeah.
It's like, no, he definitely does. It's fine.
No. Yeah. What? I guess in a sense you can do, even if you can't get the extra damage from the evolution, you can just like do one Aura Strike for 10 and then do the next one for 120, which will be 100 after the resistance move, and that will be enough after that. Oh, does he? So he's committing another energy to this Buzzwall here. Does that mean he has enough to? Or does he have a means of retreating this Lucario, perhaps?
I saw a Focus Sash in hand, so that will.
Oh, there is I think looks like a Floatstone to me.
Okay. Wait, he's used a supporter yet? So he actually has one of his copies of Karina in hand, so we can just go, right, cool.
Grab Floatstone, which he does play free of,
yes.
So he definitely will have more left to go. There's Focus Sash going on to the Riolu.
So the decision behind Focus Sash and where you play them and when is actually a really big deal for this deck, because you're often in situations where you can say, look, I need to protect the Riolu because I need to be able to evolve something next turn. If you manage to take out the big one, especially with the Lucario, it doesn't matter because I have Karina. I'll just grab another one. Yeah. Who cares?
Absolutely.
So searching through, making sure he has access to. I'm guessing he's going to go for something like Lucario Floatstone.
Actually, no, Scoop up Cyclone. Interesting.
Nice. So, again, having spoken to him, he was like, "This card is broken in this deck. You don't even have to have damage on pick your cards up. It's amazing." And he absolutely, and here we could see it coming into full effect of just I'll just retreat and evolve.
Yeah, actually, relevant. No, it's interesting that he doesn't play any AZ for a similar sort of reason. I guess he has to discard the energy to play AZ, so that's kind of that's not ideal. But that's something else that you can then pick up with.
Well, so the line is kind of apparent if you when you the list. Is he goes for Stretcher over Rod. If he played AZ, he'd have to play at least one Super Rod because he's not playing that high an energy count.
Yeah.
So it meant that he could be more aggressive on always grabbing the card he wants.
Makes sense.
So we do see a very chunky Get Punch.
There's 70 to the active and 30 to the bench Trubbish. And now it goes a double colourless onto the Tapu Lele. So this is now going to be doing 100 damage of energy drive, and there is a Juniper as well.
Haven't been tracking too carefully, but how many items has Philip played?
Well, the Skill Cycle will be one, and there's been quite
a few
in
Ultra Balls and stuff, right?
Yeah, it's this might actually be enough. Yeah, because all Philip would need in his discard pile is 5, and the Trash Avalanche would be enough for a knockout. And the way Martin's promoting that is telling me that's the case.
Definitely 5.
Yeah. So yeah, there it is. Trash Avalanche KO. Down goes the Buzzwole. 2 more prizes for Martin, and now back to Philip's turn as he finds himself. Looks to be a Pseudo Wudo off the top of the deck. There is a Lucario and a Fighting Energy though, so he will have the return knockout at the very least.
And what's particularly awkward for Martin is he didn't manage to find another basic Pokemon, another Psychic basic Pokemon to play, to be able to threaten another way of attacking next turn. He's now in a situation where once this Garbodor goes down, he's got an Oranguru. Well, he doesn't plan on attacking with that anytime soon, I assume, and the Lele, which he can attack for, but then there's Ace Roller, and it just doesn't help.
No, not at all.
The option to play the Focus Sash onto the Lucario is kind of an odd one, actually. On the Ryolus, because there was actually nothing threatening a one-hit KO.
No, it wasn't. Was
So
there?
it just gets the item cards out of deck, but that isn't always a good idea because if they're playing Field Blower, that's just fueling Trash Avalanche.
Yeah, absolutely.
However, there are no Field Blower in Martin's list either.
Well, there you go.
So clearly Philip knows more about this list than I do.
Yeah, he knows it without even knowing he knows it. There is, I guess Martin's reasoning would be, why do I need to get rid of tools if I, already stopped my opponent playing them? But it's kind of like for situations like this, really. Now, the Aura Strike will get the KO from Philip's side onto the Trash Avalanche Garb, and now back to Martin as he brings up that Oranguru with the Float Stone, and now he won't have access to Chaos Wheel this turn at all because he still doesn't have like another Misdreavus out or Mismagius rather, and actually it puts down a Magnetic Storm,
So
which
there's
is
no weakness or resistance. Is it
only resistance.
Resistance.
Yeah. So, I mean, that seems like a very strange choice to me because that helps Philip more,
Yeah.
surely.
Well, because now he can one-shot them as Mismagius by just evolving.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting choice. I'd be interested to ask why he's opted to include it. I guess it turns off the resistance for Zoroarks.
Yeah, but at the same time, we've not seen a single Zoroark out of Philip, and surely Martin must realise at this point that he's not playing them.
Maybe he's just thinning it because he knows he's going to have to
I think that's probably the most likely situation. He just wants to get it out of his hand, and is thinking, okay, there's oh, actually, no. You know what it is? I think because the Garbodor doesn't resist fighting. Yeah, so it actually doesn't matter at this point. So he may as well play it out of his hand just to thin it out. Yeah, that's what it will be.
So it's now just retreating the Oranguru, deciding between the possible Acid Spray flip or just attacking with the Lele. Goes in with the Tapu Lele for 80 damage.
That's risky though because, as you mentioned earlier, Cantankerous Beatdown is... Well, okay, it's not going to be used this turn, but there could have been a Cantankerous Beatdown there.
I believe that was one of the Ace Roll who took off his prize cards as well, which is very nice.
Yeah. I mean, there were 2 in there, so the odds were with him, I guess. So Ace Roller undoing all of Martin's hard work there, as now Philip just re-evolves, attaches, benches the Riolu, and this will be enough to actually get the KO on the Tapu Lele. It already has 70 damage on it, so the extra 120 will be 20 over what's actually needed.
Well, it's interesting because Martin's list is just trading very efficiently. They're all single prize attackers. In fact, looking at his list, he only plays the Tapu Lele GX, which gives up 2 prize cards. So he's always in a position where if he didn't have to use the Lele to attack, he'd probably be fine. He can just keep trading, take 2 prizes to 1 prize, and survive. Unfortunately, he's now been forced into attacking with this Tapu Lele and putting himself in a position where Philip goes down to 1 prize card.
Yeah, and that's really not great for him because this is like the one sort of bit where that really efficient prize trade, which that's one of the advantages that Martin's deck has, kind of just gets completely just not... I'm looking for words here.
It's nullified,
no,
right?
Nullified.
It's gone.
Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. So that's advantage he's given up by doing that, essentially. And yeah, down goes Tapu Lele. 2 more prizes for Philip, and even with only 1 left to take, whilst Martin still needs to take 4. And And yeah, it's you just have to imagine that it's advantage. Well, not have to imagine, you can see it. It's advantage Philipp here. An Enter 1 might be a way for Martin to come back though.
But there's no way of following the Garbotoxin. There are 2 Octillery in play, so Philipp can basically just go, I'll just have 5 cards, thank you very much.
Yeah, not only that, but because Martin hasn't been able to get rid of the focus sashes or stop Philipp attaching them, there is one on that Lucario, and he can promote this Trash Avalanche Garbodor if he wants, and take a just under 10 one-hit knockout, but just doesn't really. I mean, focus sash has done its job.
Yeah, and it's now just a case of Philipp needs energy. Let's game.
Yeah, and it doesn't have it yet. There's an Octillery which he has an on as well. And he's got a Juniper too. I mean, surely he doesn't miss it now.
He just plays the Guru down.
Oh, is it it's the other one?
The Ultra Prism, because obviously draw support's already covered with the Abyssal Hand, but also because he is slightly concerned about the mill matchup.
Yes.
It's a little bit more awkward.
Interesting, he hasn't actually seen it yet. He's done both of his Abyssal Hands now. He can't Brooklet Hill, so it's going to have to be just a Juniper. If he misses this, it's going to be very sad. No, surely not. Oh.
No, that's not.
Goodness gracious me! He's gone done it, or rather gone not done it.
He's managed to find exactly all of the other cards, because I think he hasn't gone through that many energy either.
No, he's not.
I think I don't know if he's used both Abyssal Hands yet. I think he's now trying to work out if he can.
Let's see how much energy left in his deck. There is only 1 energy left in his deck.
Okay,
to be fair.
there's
2. Yeah, that's a bit. It's not ideal.
Yeah, he's in an awkward situation where. Ideally, if he sees the Ace of Roller at any point, he's also fine. Actually, by kicking the Magnetic Storm, he's kind of put himself in, it doesn't matter, because he's got the Brooklet Hill, so we can keep putting things down, but he's kicked the Magnetic Storm, which means he can't take single prizes as easily on things that, there are a few cards that do resist him.
There are, but at the same time, I don't see Martin putting down a Mismagius at any point. That's really, the Mismagius is the only thing that really resists it at this point, so I think countering it is absolutely fine. I think what's a little bit less fine is the fact he's able to miss the attack here. But even then, I mean, all he does here is retreat, right? And then even Martin Guzma's, because Philipp needs 1 more prize, he just needs 1 more turn to just find something. It's
focus sash onto the Orangaroo.
Yeah, because why not, right? Yeah, and what does Martin have here? He has an Ultra Ball. Does he have... Oh, no, we know he doesn't have access to attack with later, because of course 1 got knocked out, 1's still on the prizes, so he can't even find Guzma. He'd have to go for a Versus Seeker to try and get that. Yeah,
so something that I know that is particularly interesting here is me and Philipp discussed 1 card quite a lot on the train, and that was an inclusion of Professor's Letter, because that basically turns Corinna into a guaranteed Lucario. And he's actually opted to not play it today, so he must have decided last night, no, this is not the option, because this would give him, basically, I have Corinna in hand, I win situations.
Yeah, because they will find the Pokemon, and it means that Corinna can then also search for energy indirectly. It extends the reach for that card. I mean, I still think that Philipp's going to win this game, to be honest. But yeah, because even then, he just takes off the focus sash. Now, all Philipp needs to do is play an Ace Roller on that Lucario, and he wins. Because he just picks it up.
Puts it down. There it is.
Yeah, he picks it up, evolves the active and attaches, and attacks and wins.
Cool.
Yeah.
And that's the end of game 1.
Yes,
really interesting matchup. It's something that you wouldn't... it's not the kind of typical deck we'd seen expanded. It's actually quite a nice change, where we're seeing something a little bit rogue.
Yeah, definitely.
Quite a bit rogue. And kind of the new player on the block that we haven't seen so far today in Lucario GX.
No, yeah, absolutely. Especially in expanded. I mean, obviously we've seen it creep up a little bit in standard. I'll actually, if I'm being completely honest, I'm going to make a confession here. When I first saw Lucario, I wasn't actually convinced. I thought that the condition for getting the extra damage was a bit too wonky, because there's stuff where you do more if you evolve. Just from what I remember in the past, hasn't seen that much success. But I think Lucario does enough with it, because it's single energy attachment and with all the tools you have to work with, that it actually does work. So I'm 100% convinced.
A really fun thing with Lucario is has 210 HP, exactly like Zoroark, and people look used to having to 2-hit Zoroarks. Lucario goes, I'll one-shot it, but you still have to 2-hit a Lucario, and that just means you walk into it with a GX attack. And there are so many decks that just can't really play around you effectively. We saw it there. It never, it was never used, but it was always just right. If I attack, I just can't do enough.
No, exactly.
And it gains a lot in expanded as well.
It does. It absolutely does.
Something as well as it's kind of a call for the format. Obviously, the Mismagius is designed to go right. No special energy for you, Zoroark. You can't win.
No.
Or kind of things like what you've had to use a load of items to get out of this lock, but now I just take KOs anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. The difference with Lucario is here, while standard is full of Zoroark, expanded is even more so. As we'll see soon, hopefully we'll get a graphic up with the decks for today. And when there's so much Zoroark, just being able to go, but I'm just going to one-shot it. The Buzzwall can take prizes on the executes on the bench, with the 30 onto the bench, so you can just go, it's fine, we'll just keep working through resources.
Yeah, definitely. So it seems like we are actually off with game 2. Of course, Martin will be going first, and starting with a Mischievous, but that's it. He actually just attached a Psychic and pass, and meanwhile Philip has an Oranguru with a Float Stone. This could be over quickly, folks.
Well, Lele DCE would make everyone very sad.
Yeah, it would, except Philip doesn't play DCE.
Yeah. But he's able to escape. He doesn't have a fantastic hand himself, does Philip? I don't think.
No, he doesn't. But, I mean, looking at Martin's hand, I think he's going to have an extra turn to work with regardless, so... Yeah, that's he's frozen, or is it like, what do I do? He's got an Ultra Ball. Okay, so he can get a Riolu, and that'll put the ultimate.
But he has no access to draw support in hand, if I'm correct. So he might be going. Maybe he's weighing up going for the Ultra Ball to go grab stuff to make sure he has options next turn.
Quite possibly, yeah. And then, but no, he's just going to go for Riolu. Okay, so he must have something in hand then.
Well, he's playing a fairly high count of physical draw support as at 7, and obviously he can draw into another Ultra Ball for the Octillery, so he is very likely to have outs.
And there's a pass. What does Martin have? Was that Juniper he drew?
No, it was just a.
Oh, he has Mismagius. Okay, he has double colorless.
That's
interesting.
Quite interesting.
And
what?
That's a KO.
It is.
And he has a Trubbish too, so actually, although not doing much, actually doing a lot. In a weird way.
Sometimes a simple turn is all you need.
Yeah, like, it looks, see, Philip had a Cynthia. Also, seems that Martin almost took the top of his deck as a prize card instead of his actual prize, but he managed to fix it before he actually saw anything, so that's good at least.
Also, looking at Philip's prizes as well, he's prized 2 of his 3 copies of Corona and 2 of his Riolu.
Ooh, that is far from ideal.
And having already lost 1 Riolu, I suspect he's now going to go, oh dear, there's only 1 left.
Yeah. And there it is.
He's in a kind of awkward situation where he very quickly needs to get to his stretcher.
Yeah,
so
he
can
does.
keep trying to have things in play.
Yeah, and he actually notices that and very quite cleverly just
I like that.
Goes to the resource management, so he's able to actually put back that Riolu, and looks like 2 strong energy as well.
I mean, would you necessarily get all the value from the strong energies now? There is already a Mismagius in play.
It's tricky because he can't attack with his Mismagius forever, so eventually the strong energy will be useful. So I think it's still fine overall, even though, absolutely, if he just keeps Chaos Wheeling, then...
the Chaos Wheel is a really effective way of kind of working with it. We just see Guzma attached to the Trubbish, retreat, get rid of the Riolu again.
Just very simple but effective turns from Martin's side. Just doing all he needs to, just the minimal he needs to do, despite not having a very sort of long turn hand, still having what he needs to stop Philip from being able to advance his own setup.
This is very much an anti-Zoroark deck. The turns are a lot shorter than a Zoroark deck, and it's designed to beat it as well.
Yeah, it's so strange. And now, he was going to grabbing that Riolu, which very wise that he put it back with resource management now, because if he hadn't done, can you imagine?
Yeah, he's now in a situation where he needs to be able to bench 2 at a turn, because otherwise, with the 2 copies of Guzman already gone, it's not too bad, unlikely that another one's going to go down. But with the VS Seekers, Martin doesn't need an awful lot to just take 6 prize cards on Riolus at
No.
this rate.
Also, he just Ultra Ball discarding a Buzzwole and an N. I really hope he doesn't think that there's... Okay, no, he's going for artillery. He must know that the other two Riolus are prize, or is he just noticing now? Oh dear. No, he's going for another Remoraid.
Okay. Off the Brooklet Hill.
Yeah.
And now he's gone, oh, no, they are prized.
Yeah.
As we saw a little glance over at the prizes, they're going, oh dear.
Yeah. It's poker face body language, not perhaps 100% optimal level there.
Yeah.
I'm sure Martin might have caught a glimpse of that. Who knows?
Well, it's also
It's kind of obvious. I guess.
broadcasted at that point by the fact that Philip had to resource management to put it back already. At that point, Martin goes, oh, there aren't many left. Okay.
Yeah. So we see one Abyssal Hand. This will draw in 3 cards. There's a Lucario and a Floatstone and a Fighting Energy. Not much else. There's a debate over... I think he's agonising over whether to attach his Fighting or not, because a third Guzma would just make Philip really sad, and actually we know that he has one as well. Martin would just need a way to retreat, and actually just going to attach to the active?
Also, the other option he had here is if he opted to use to evolve and attack with the Lucario this turn, he would have no option to do so the next turn, of course. But he would have played his hand size down in such a way that the Mismagius couldn't take a KO with Dark Arts. So he actually would have had few enough cards left in hand that there was no one to hit KO available.
That's true, but the real just went down this turn, so he couldn't evolve anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. Yeah, so he's always on a kind of a back foot of going, right, I just got to try and get 2 of these to stick.
Yeah. And so there's a Flagrant from Martin's side, so no Guzma at least, that's good. And now it's just going to be Chaos Wheel this time, no Dark Arts. And so now Philip will finally be able to actually do something to this Mismagius, although, as we already discussed, it won't be a KO because that resistance is going to hurt him. And of course, now that Chaos Wheel has come into effect,
he can't play the strong energy to make up the difference.
Indeed, he can't. He can bench a second Riolu though, so that's one small victory at least.
And his option really now is he has to find a way of start looping these. Having discarded the Buzzwole already may come back to kind of haunt him a little bit, because he's in a position where if he could have found a turn to Jet Punch, he sets up numbers across the board that are much more straightforward for him to hit.
Yeah. There goes actually an Acer Roller onto the Onguru, picking it up just to get that energy back, I imagine, and also because he probably doesn't want to have that sticking around much longer. Yeah, there's the evolution as well. And I actually just decided to rebench it, probably maybe thinking I'm going to need to reuse more things. I want to see out the rest of this game. And yeah, just going to be the Aura Strike for not quite enough.
Yeah, it's always frustrating when you're just 10 away.
It feels bad, man.
I mean, if he was expecting this kind of deck, which I can't blame him for not, maybe he would have put in the Regirock.
Yeah, maybe so. It's interesting that Martin actually had the Verse Seeker in hand, so he could have Guzma'd again, but he didn't have a way to retreat the Trubbish on the bench, which is why he didn't. Yeah,
so actually that's something a bit different. The Tool Drop Trubbish in Expanded has 1 retreat.
That's not the Tool Drop one.
Oh no, it's the other one. Yes.
Yeah. The Tool Drop Trubbish is an expanded only one, but no, that's the one with I believe it's called like Trash Recycle or something like that. It's got 60 HP and it has got 1 retreat. You're right, which is nice.
Which, because obviously in standard the only options we have for Trubbish is the 2, so it's a little bit more awkward to move them around.
Yeah, it is. It's that Trubbish is also nice because that attack that it has, the 60 HP one, it does let you just like take a card from your discard pile and put it on top of your deck. So it's like kind of like a much worse Oranguru.
In some ways, it's quite nice because it's just like, right, I'm going to top deck the card I need for game.
Yeah,
like you can set up those situations occasionally.
That's true. Now, that Trubbish has now become a Garbodor, the Trash Launch one. We're interested to see, again, we're not keeping great track, but Philip's... actually, we're going to see now. So how many items has Philip played?
Not many.
Not enough for a KO, I don't think. Because he would need to have... Although he doesn't actually need that many to... If Philip has 4 items in the discard pile, the weakness would mean that Trash Launch would be enough for a KO. Although Martin might not have the energy... Oh, and... yeah, actually Martin... Of course, Martin did the attack.
Yeah.
And then it was Philip's turn, so I completely missed that. So... Actually, weirdly, even though, despite everything, it's actually still pretty favourable for Philip at this point.
Yeah.
Because there's he's played enough items, and Martin has seen enough little energy to make it so that Philipp can sort of try to establish a bit more of a game, if not a prize lead, then a sort of board lead again.
But maybe Martin's okay with this because he knows he can just take a couple of knockouts on the Lucarios in key turns and just stay ahead just enough if he manages it.
Yeah. Now though, the problem is Martin has committed this Muscle Man to the active, which means that float stone kind of he can't bring the Garbodor to the active more easily to later do maybe a trash launch. That he's going to need to. Granted, the Mismagius only has one retreat, so it's not the end of the world when he does evolve. But still, that Muscle Man being committed now could make things a bit awkward for him.
Well, he knows that the Mismagius is a 2-hit KO, so he's a good case of, right, I'll just keep Chaos Wheeling for a couple of turns, set things up. But he has to be careful to not forget about the Cantankerous GX attack of Lucario GX, which just can blow it out and keep the pace of the game back in Philipp's favour.
Yes.
So,
and we do see a chorus from Martin as well, so only going to be drawing 6 right now, which seems like it's a Cynthia, and Cynthia's good. So
yeah, it's not quite the. I think we've seen choruses for 12 or so far today, but still plenty of cards. Still puts you in a really nice position.
Yeah, there it is, chorus for 6. He needs to find a Psychic Energy and a Mismagius, basically. That's as simple as this chorus gets. Does he find both of those together?
Well, so one of the nice options in his list is he's playing the one Cynthia, the one chorus, and occasionally you want to hold one or the other, because if your opponent's playing a deck that can keep a low bench size, they can play around it.
Yes,
he's got Computer Search,
and he's got the Psychic Energy, so he's got both. So yeah, he's fine. He's gonna have to discard a couple of things to make it happen, though, which he probably would in an ideal world like not to do. But I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, just to be able to keep up in this kind of game.
Yeah.
Discarding Garbodor's not too bad. He's playing a full 3 copies, so having one in board, he isn't likely to find time to find another Trubbish.
No. He also, you mentioned the Garbotoxin Garbodor earlier. He doesn't actually play it.
Oh wow, no, he doesn't.
No. So he only plays the Trash Launch Garb as an attacker. Interesting indeed. But does Philipp know that, I wonder?
I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
I mean, I can guess that Philipp hasn't tested against this.
No.
It's not a matchup he was expecting.
No, and that's the whole point. He played his deck for matchups he wasn't expecting, although, again, perhaps not necessarily this
out there.
Yeah. Now, an obvious ideal turn for Philipp here would just be Ace Roller. Just pick up the Lucario, heal it all off, and then have some fun.
Ideally find a way of getting into something like Focus Sash, just to go, right, but you still can't one-shot me.
Yeah. He wouldn't be able to Focus Sash since he's been Chaos Wheeled, though.
This is true.
Yeah, so actually it makes the Ace Roller is kind of vital here. Oh, he's got Scoop Up Cyclone.
Oh, so he's very happy.
Yeah, he's absolutely fine here. So I think he's just debating how to progress the rest of his board instead. And so there's an Ultra Ball. Now looks like.
So he knows he can't go for a Riolu.
No.
He's already discarded the Buzzwole. The Pseudo is not particularly helpful in this matchup, so he's maybe going, well, just take the other Octillery perhaps, just so I can cycle some more cards.
Yeah, and potentially I can discard here, although the double Floatstone, it's interesting. Could have been a consideration to discard a Focus Sash instead, but no, instead he's got the double Octillery out now, so that's really good for him as well. And he's gonna go back in, it looks like. Yeah. So no, that's Scoop Up Cyclone. And actually, he's going to. Oh, it's interesting enough. Going to put up the Oranguru. Not going to go into the other Riolu just yet. And that's.
Apparently, this is the end of round, but I don't think we started particularly late.
No.
Timer is a bit off, but
shouldn't be that off.
No, it shouldn't be.
We'll find out. Yeah. Okay. So we see the Scoop Up Cyclone. And actually opting not to attack this turn to be aggressive, but instead just going for the Oranguru.
Is this another sort of play to survive strategy potentially? Like, is Philipp thinking that there's not much time left? I just want to could deny Martin prizes.
I think that might well be the line he's going for here. He's just going, look, Plum's just been called. We have 3 turns.
Yeah, but as we were just discussing with David, I don't think our time is like a little bit delayed, but I don't think it's that much delayed.
No.
So. Yeah, something seems. I'm not sure entirely.
But Corinna grabs some extra cards from deck. He's actually ultra balling away 2 Lucario here.
He really doesn't want Martin to take prizes, does he?
No.
No.
Well, I think Philip's best option, the biggest attack really available, as we'll see, is the Trash Launch. And the Trash Launch is going to do an awful lot of damage.
Yeah.
But not actually enough to, like, he's clearly just going to resource management, go back. So we can always keep things just out of range. This is one of the other few decks that gets to reuse its A-Spec.
Yes, it is, absolutely. And in fact, has that already happened this game? I lost track. No, I don't think it has it?
No, it hasn't.
He's not put it back yet, so this could be the opportunity to tick off another one on your bingo sheets, folks.
Yeah, just going, right, let's just pick up the card.
Yep.
It's just like, right, let's just make sure that you have no real way of taking KOs.
Yeah, no, that's like Philip almost shuffled the cards into his deck. It's like, no, resource management puts them to the bottom and they don't get shuffled in, so, yeah. Now, Martin's played a Cynthia, and this, again, Philip's been very clever here because he's put back enough items so that this, if with the Trash Launch Garb, Martin now can't get a KO on anything, so he's being, like, forced to limited damage-wise, is being limited quite significantly because, of course, as we know, essentially Philip can play the game in a way where the maximum amount that Martin can do is
however many cards he has in his hand.
Yeah. And Dark Arts won't be doing. But even that, Philip has basically every single damage increaser that Philip has control over from Martin's side. So he can limit his hand size, he can limit the amount of items it's discard pile, which is what he's done with Oranguru, and it puts him in a really good shape, to be honest.
Yeah. So like. The most significant damage that Martin is capable of doing is 50 right now. Which Philip will just go, that's fine. I'm gonna let you soak these up for like 3 or 4 turns. Yeah. Probably draw an Ace of Roller.
Probably
do it for some more.
He could do 80 with the Trash Launch, or he could do 100 with Dark Arts, but it's very tricky for him basically. And I imagine that Philip might even consider just doing another resource management and limit that Trash Launch damage even further, which means that, again, as long as he keeps his hand size low, Martin's damage output is extremely limited.
Let's see.
There's a Wonder Tag. Is he just considering grabbing the Ace of Roller?
Is it one of his options? He's also got other ways you can go into things like you can go into the Corinna to grab. Oh, we're going for the Guzma, so I think he's just going to go for the aggressive. Let's just deal with the Trash Launch issue.
That makes sense.
This way, obviously, it means he no longer has to keep using resource management, so he gets into a position where he can actually once again start being aggressive.
Yeah, and that's that kind of what's happening here. So that Lucario did come down this turn, so fighter can be attached, and that will be an Aura Strike knockout, dealing with the Trash Launch, and meaning that Philip can be a bit more fast and loose with his items again. And is there some debate as to whether the Lucario was evolved this turn? I'm fairly sure it was. There seems to be some kind of discussion going on.
It would definitely come down this turn.
Yeah. Is there discussion on time, perhaps? I'm not sure what's going on here.
Maybe.
The prize has been taken.
Okay, now we're at 0, so we're about 5 minutes off, okay? So now it's time on the round.
Yeah. No, that means that now Martin's turn 1, so actually that was...
Yeah, that was actually a really, from Philip's point of view, that couldn't have happened at a better second.
No, it really couldn't have done. And now I think Martin is just stuck, basically. Surely there's no real easy way of him taking 4 prizes in 2 turns. It's not impossible.
Well, he'd have to find a way of getting enough items into Philip's discard that he can take shots on he needs a DCE so he can KO this Lucario.
Yeah.
That's the first 2. And he needs a way of getting to the Lele to take the other 2.
Actually, you're right. It depends a lot on... I can't see how many cards that is in Philip's hand. If it's 5 cards in hand, then Martin can actually get the KO with Dark Arts, because 120 will double to 240.
Yeah.
If not, then he'll be 10 short because it'll be 200. And from the way Martin's facial expression kind of paints the whole picture, doesn't it?
Just like, what do I do?
Yeah.
I think we've all had those hands and been in those situations. Just like any other cards, I'd have been quite happy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's it.
Yeah,
so
he's
Martin not going to be able to win this game, and so Philipp will win game 1. Game 2 has no conclusion, and so Philipp will win the match.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool to see that the Lucario deck can overcome basically a deck that should have an advantage with weakness, but by just being really careful management of items and not needing the strong energies by using things like Buzzwole to set up numbers in game 1, actually kind of just ignores that problem.
Yeah, basically, absolutely. And it looks like Philipp was right. The deck can deal with road decks.
Yeah, it's always difficult when you're testing for a tournament. You have to test for all the top decks, and you just don't have time to consider some of the wackier stuff. Some of the lists that are a little bit more creative. This is not a deck that we've seen before, and it's a really nice twist on, well, how do we deal with this?
Yeah.
The other deck that used Chaos Wheel was Giratina EX, and whilst that you could use that and expand it, does need 4 energy.
Yeah, it does.
And that's not as easy to just go, well, it's a stage 1 with 1 energy. I can manage this.
Yeah, and the concept as well. I mean, as we've seen, there's a lot of decks that get hurt by not being able to play tool save and special energy, especially as mentioned before, Zoroark. Sure, you're not doing much damage to Zoroark because of the psychic resistance, but it doesn't matter when they can't actually attack you because they're not attacking special energy.
Yeah, so I think we have no time, unfortunately, for the interview. No. Finish in time, but we'll be back soon, hopefully with the next round.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't go anywhere.